Welcome back to Mr. Harvey Motivation. Speech time is your ally. It may feel like a slow, moving force, but don't be deceived. It's one of the most powerful tools you have in your life, especially when dealing with relationships that have left you feeling unseen, undervalued, or unheard. The beauty of time is that it operates in ways you can't always predict or control, but it always delivers a lesson. While you might want to rush in to fix things to make things right, time has a way of giving both you and the situation the space to reveal what was always there beneath the surface. Silence is a form of communication. It's not a void, it's a message. When you stop chasing, when you stop pleading for attention or validation, something incredible begins to happen. The longer you remain silent, the louder your absence becomes. It's in the spaces where your presence once was that people, especially the ones who took you for granted, start to feel the weight of what they've lost. This isn't about playing games or manipulating a situation, but about allowing time to take its natural course. It's easy to mistake silence for weakness, or even as a form of giving up. But silence, when wielded properly, is one of the most powerful forces in any relationship. When you stop talking, stop explaining yourself, and stop justifying your worth, you allow the other person to sit with their own thoughts, their own feelings. They can no longer deflect. They can no longer push aside what they know deep down is true. Your silence forces them to confront what's real, and for many, that's the hardest thing to face. Time has a way of bringing clarity. When we're in the middle of a situation, we often act on impulse, on emotion, and in the heat of the moment, our actions may not reflect what's truly best for us. But when time passes, we begin to gain perspective. We see things for what they were, and sometimes we see ourselves more clearly. The same is true for others. When you remove yourself from the equation, they're forced to reflect on what they had, what they lost, and what they may never get back. Silence also allows the person to feel the absence of your energy. You've given them your time, your love, your attention, and suddenly it's gone. No more texts, no more calls, no more smiles to brighten their day. In that silence, they start to realize how much they relied on it, how much they took it for granted. Time makes them miss the way you laughed, the way you supported them, the way you made life feel a little easier, a little lighter. It makes them wonder if there will ever be someone else who can fill that gap. Time doesn't just teach the person who took you for granted. It teaches you as well. When you step back and give yourself the gift of time, you learn something profound about your own strength. You realize that you don't need to chase validation or prove your worth to anyone. You learn that your value isn't defined by how others perceive you or how much attention you receive. Your worth is inherent, it's built into you, and no amount of silence or absence can change that. In fact, the more time passes, the more you start to reclaim your sense of self. You rediscover parts of yourself that may have been buried under the weight of someone else's neglect or disregard. You start to rebuild the parts of your life that were neglected while you were busy giving, while you were busy pouring into someone else. Time gives you the space to heal, to grow, and to remember who you are outside of that relationship. You become stronger in the silence, you become more centered, and in the quiet moments you hear your own voice again, a voice that was drowned out by the noise of the past. The beauty of silence is that it doesn't need to be explained. You don't need to give a long speech or send a text telling them how hurt you are. The absence of your words, the absence of your presence is the message. It's a message that says, I am worth more than this. I don't need to fight for your attention or your affection. I can stand on my own. Time will make that message clear without you ever saying a word. And here's the kicker. Time doesn't just teach lessons to those who have hurt you. It also teaches you patience. It teaches you trust in the process. When you stop trying to control the outcome and allow time to work its magic, you realize that things have a way of unfolding exactly as they should. People who truly value you will return. They'll come back with humility and appreciation because time will have done the work of breaking down their pride, their ego, and their assumptions. For others, time will reveal that they're not worth the space in your life, and you'll be okay with that too. You'll be at peace knowing that you didn't need to fight for something that wasn't meant for you. Time also reveals truth. It cuts through all the distractions, the excuses, the promises. It strips everything down to what really matters. People can say all the right things in the moment, but time will show you if those words were real or just noise. If they were genuine, time will make that clear. If they were empty, time will expose that too. And you'll know exactly where you stand. You won't need anyone to tell you. So let time work for you. Let time be your ally. Embrace the silence and trust that time will teach everyone involved exactly what they need to know. Because time is the ultimate teacher, and in the end it will reveal the truth about who you are, what you deserve, and where your real value lies. And as you continue to grow and heal, you'll understand that sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is to step back and let time do its work. The longer he goes without you, the heavier his emptiness grows. At first, he may not even notice it. Men are often prideful, convincing themselves that moving on will be easy, that life without you won't really affect them. In the beginning, he may even feel a sense of freedom, like he's finally unshackled from responsibility or commitment. He fills his days with noise, distractions, and people who can't come close to giving him what you gave. He scrolls through his phone, hangs out with friends, dives into work, or even seeks out someone new just to prove to himself that he's fine. But underneath it all, the emptiness is already beginning to take root, growing slowly and quietly, waiting for the moment when he can no longer escape it. You see, what he doesn't understand right away is that love leaves a footprint. Your presence in his life wasn't just a convenience. It was an anchor, a light, a sense of stability that gave meaning to the everyday moments. When that's gone, he may not feel it in the first few days or weeks because denial is strong and the ego is stubborn. But time chips away at denial, time dismantles pride, and as the days stretch on, the realization starts to sink in. The dinners are colder, the jokes don't land the same, and the celebrations feel incomplete. The little things he used to take for granted, the sound of your voice, the comfort of your encouragement, the peace of your presence, become louder in their absence. The emptiness grows heavier because nothing he tries fills it. He may laugh with others, but that laugh doesn't echo the way it did with you. He may share stories, but no one listens to him the way you did, with genuine care and attention. He may find temporary company, but no one offers the kind of depth, consistency, or authenticity you brought into his life. The emptiness lingers because it's not about replacing you with another face. It's about realizing that what you offered was rare, and rare cannot be replicated. Every time he reaches for a distraction, he is reminded that it is only temporary and the hollowness remains. Over time, this emptiness becomes a weight he carries daily. It shows up in quiet moments, the morning when he wakes up alone, the late night when the house is too silent, the milestones when there's no one there to share the joy. These moments creep in when he least expects them, chipping away at his pride and gnawing at his spirit. The heaviness of emptiness isn't about drama or sudden collapse. It's about the slow erosion of joy, the steady decline of satisfaction. He begins to feel incomplete, like something essential is missing, and deep down, he knows exactly what it is. The heaviness also comes from regret. When time passes, memory sharpens. He starts to replay moments in his head, moments he overlooked, moments he dismissed, moments where you gave your best and he didn't appreciate it. That realization stings, and every time he replays it, the weight grows heavier. He wonders why he didn't see it sooner, why he thought he could do better, why he believed he could go on without you and not feel the loss. Regret piles on top of emptiness, and suddenly the weight feels unbearable. But here's the thing about emptiness. It doesn't just sit quietly, it demands to be felt. It starts to affect everything else in his life. His focus slips, his temper shortens, his enthusiasm fades. The hobbies that used to excite him don't feel the same anymore. The people who surround him can't fill the void because they're not you, and deep down he knows it. The longer he goes without you, the more he realizes that your absence isn't just a space to be filled. It's a hole that can't be patched up with substitutes, and that hole gets deeper with every passing day. The heaviness of emptiness also reveals truth. In those lonely hours when distractions fail and pride can't shield him anymore, he comes face to face with reality. You were more than he admitted, more than he gave credit for, more than he ever acknowledged. That's when the silence becomes unbearable, when the nights stretch longer, and when the weight of emptiness feels like a burden he can't shake. He may not admit it out loud, but inside he knows he underestimated you, and now he's paying the price for it. This growing emptiness is what breaks him slowly, bit by bit. It's not a dramatic collapse in one moment. It's the steady unraveling of his spirit over time. Each day without you adds another layer of weight, another reminder of what he's missing, another crack in the facade tries to keep up. He can hide it from others, he can pretend it doesn't exist, but when he's alone, that weight presses down on him harder than ever. The longer he goes without you, the heavier it grows, until one day he realizes it's not just emptiness he's carrying. It's the cost of losing someone irreplaceable. Your absence speaks louder than any argument or plea. There is a power in walking away, in choosing not to engage, that no amount of talking, debating, or begging could ever achieve. Words can be dismissed, twisted, or ignored, but absence is undeniable. It lingers like an echo in the spaces where you used to stand, and it forces him to pay attention in ways he never did when you were still present. Your absence carries a weight that cannot be silenced, and it communicates a message far clearer than anything you could ever put into words. When you argue, when you plead, when you try to convince someone of your worth, you hand them power. You place yourself in a position where their validation becomes the deciding factor. And often, men in their pride will dismiss those words because they think you will always be there, always fighting, always explaining. But when you go quiet, when you step back and withdraw yourself completely, you remove that safety net. Suddenly, the sound of your voice is no longer filling the air, the comfort of your presence is no longer cushioning his world, and the reality of your absence begins to sink in. Silence becomes the loudest statement you could ever make. Absence has a way of making people confront truth. He may have ignored your words, rolled his eyes at your pleas, or brushed off your emotions as exaggerations. But now, without you there, he has no choice but to feel the truth in his own life. The empty chair, the unanswered call, the missing warmth at the end of a long day. All of it speaks volumes, and those volumes cannot be argued with, cannot be reasoned away. They are proof of what he lost, and they remind him daily of what he no longer has access to. What makes absence so powerful is that it shifts the dynamic. When you argue or plead, the focus is on him, his choices, his actions, his response. But when you step back, the focus turns inward. He has no one to deflect onto, no one to point fingers at, no one to absorb the impact of his decisions. All that's left is him and the emptiness you left behind. And that emptiness is a mirror. It reflects back to him everything he ignored, everything he undervalued, everything he thought he could live without. Your absence becomes the voice he can't drown out, the reminder he can't escape. Absence also strips away illusions. When you were present, he may have taken you for granted because he assumed you'd always be there. He may have believed the world outside could easily replace you. But once you're gone, the truth becomes clear. No one else brings what you brought. No one else gives with your level of depth. No one else carries themselves with your grace. No one else adds that unique light to his life. And the contrast between your presence and your absence becomes undeniable. The silence screams what your words never could, that you mattered deeply and profoundly. The human heart has a way of attaching itself to familiarity, and when that familiarity is removed, it creates a void that nothing else can fill. That void is your message. It says, without speaking, I will not argue about my value. I will not fight to prove my worth. If you cannot see it, then you must feel what life is like without it. And the longer you stay absent, the stronger that message becomes. Every day he lives without you. Every moment he reaches for something that isn't there. Your silence grows louder. Your absence is also a form of dignity. It communicates self-respect in a way no argument ever could. When you stop pleading and walk away, you declare without words that your value does not require negotiation. You refuse to lower yourself to the level of begging someone to love you right. You stand tall in the knowledge that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. And that stance, that quiet strength, speaks to him in a language more powerful than any confrontation. It tells him you are not afraid to live without him, even if he is terrified to live without you. And here's the thing. Absence leaves room for reflection. When you are gone, he has space to think, and in that space, memories begin to replay. He remembers the way you laughed at his jokes, the way you believed in him, the way you made the mundane feel magical. He remembers the softness of your love and the fire of your loyalty, and those memories, paired with the silence of your absence, weigh on him more heavily than any words you could have spoken in anger or in pain. Your absence makes him see what your presence never could, because presence is easy to overlook, but absence is impossible to forget. So your absence is not weakness, it is strength. It is not surrender, it is strategy. It is the refusal to waste breath on someone who didn't hear you when you spoke. It is the bold choice to let silence speak on your behalf, knowing it will say everything you need it to say and more. Because while arguments fade and pleas are forgotten, absence lingers, it endures, and with every passing day it grows louder, clearer, heavier, until the message is undeniable. Your value was never up for debate while time breaks him. It builds you stronger and brighter. In every moment you choose not to chase, not to return, not to lower yourself just to be accepted. You are reclaiming pieces of yourself that may have been buried under his neglect or his lack of appreciation. Time becomes your silent partner, working behind the scenes, shaping you into someone more resilient, more self-assured, more luminous than you were before. What feels like loss at first slowly transforms into empowerment, because as he struggles with emptiness, you rise in strength. When someone walks away or fails to value you, it is easy to think that you are the one losing. But time flips the perspective. The longer you are apart, the clearer it becomes that he is shrinking while you are expanding. His world feels emptier while yours begins to open up with possibilities you couldn't see before. Time reveals how much of yourself you gave, how much patience you carried, how much love you poured into someone who didn't deserve it at that level. And when you stop pouring outward, you start pouring inward, rediscovering your own worth, your own joy, your own power. That shift is what builds you. Strength doesn't come from holding on, it comes from letting go and learning to stand tall on your own. As time passes, you find that you no longer need the validation you once craved. You no longer measure your worth by his attention, his words, or his presence. Instead, you begin to recognize that you were the source of light in the relationship, and that light was never dependent on him. Time shows you that you don't need him to shine. You were glowing all along, and without the weight of his disregard, you shine even brighter. While he is consumed by regret, replaying memories and feeling the heaviness of your absence, you are evolving. You are investing in yourself, rebuilding what you neglected, and embracing opportunities that once seemed out of reach. You start to see yourself not as someone who was left, but as someone who was set free. That freedom gives you space to grow in ways you couldn't before. You find new strength in your independence, new confidence in your choices, and new pride in the way you've survived and thrived. Every day you rise a little higher while he sinks a little deeper. Time also teaches you patience and clarity. In the quiet moments, you begin to understand the difference between love and attachment, between loyalty and sacrifice, between compromise and self-betrayal. You realize that staying with him might have broken you, but walking away is what saves you. That realization becomes the foundation of your new strength. You no longer settle for half-hearted love, empty promises, or inconsistent effort. Time builds within you an unshakable standard, one that ensures no one can ever treat you that way again. What once felt like weakness, your willingness to walk away, becomes your greatest strength. And as you grow stronger, you also grow brighter. There is something magnetic about a person who knows their worth and carries themselves with dignity. Your energy changes, your presence shifts, and others begin to notice. Opportunities open because people are drawn to confidence, drawn to light, drawn to the kind of strength that radiates from someone who has endured heartbreak but refused to be broken by it. You begin to attract better friendships, better opportunities, better love, because time has polished you, refined you, and elevated you beyond who you used to be. The beauty of this process is that your glow isn't born from bitterness or revenge. It's born from growth. While he is weighed down by the heaviness of regret, your spirit is lifted by the lightness of release. He is chained by what he lost, while you are free to explore what you are gaining. Time breaks him with emptiness, but it builds you with fulfillment, with strength, with joy. That is the balance time creates. It takes from the one who failed to value and gives to the one who learned to walk away. Time also heals you in ways you didn't expect. What once hurt so deeply becomes a source of wisdom. What once felt like rejection becomes redirection. You stop questioning why it happened and start appreciating what it taught you. Time builds resilience in your heart, so the next time you face disappointment, you know how to handle it. You carry yourself differently, not with fear or desperation, but with certainty that you can endure anything and come out brighter on the other side. That inner confidence cannot be faked. It is earned, and time is the teacher that gave it to you. And while he is caught in the cycle of what-ifs and should-haves, you are writing a new story. A story where you no longer shrink yourself to be digestible, no longer dim your light to make others comfortable, no longer compromise your peace for the sake of someone else's presence. Time has built you into a version of yourself that is unshakable, undeniable, and unstoppable. While he wrestles with the pain of losing you, you rise with the power of finding yourself. His regret will come too late because you were always the blessing. In the beginning, he didn't see it. He thought your love was ordinary, that your presence was guaranteed, that your kindness and loyalty were just part of the background of his life. He mistook your consistency for something that would never end. That is the mistake people often make with someone who loves deeply. They confuse reliability with permanence, not realizing that when that love is withdrawn, it leaves a void nothing else can fill. His eyes were blind to the truth when you were standing right in front of him, but time has a way of removing those blindfolds. By the time he finally understands what you were, regret will be the only companion he has left. Regret is a slow burn. It doesn't hit all at once. At first, he convinces himself that he's fine without you. He tells himself that he'll replace you easily, that the world is full of options. He leans on pride, on distraction, on the false sense of freedom. But as time passes, that false sense of comfort cracks. The laughter feels forced, the company feels shallow, and the moments of joy are short-lived. In those quiet hours when the noise fades, he feels the hollowness growing, and it whispers to him that something is missing. That something is you, and the realization gnaws at him little by little until regret takes root. What makes regret so devastating is that it is paired with memory. He starts remembering all the little things you did that no one else does. The way you encouraged him when he doubted himself. The way you believed in him when the world overlooked him. the way you made his burdens lighter without asking for anything in return. Those memories are sharp because they contrast with what he has now. The smiles he sees now don't carry the same warmth. The support he receives doesn't come from the same place of sincerity. The presence around him doesn't provide the same peace. And each reminder twists the knife of regret deeper, because he knows he let go of something rare. The tragedy of his regret is its timing. By the time it arrives in full force, you have already grown beyond him. While he is looking backward, wishing he could undo his choices, you are moving forward, building a stronger, fuller life without him. His regret doesn't affect your progress. It only weighs him down. He may try to reach out, to apologize, to explain, but the gap between who you are now and who he remembers is too wide. The person he misses is no longer available to him, because you have risen into a version of yourself that won't settle for what he once offered. His regret becomes his burden to carry alone. You were always the blessing, and that truth doesn't change just because he failed to recognize it. Blessings don't lose their value because someone is blind to them. They remain blessings whether appreciated or not. You brought love, light, and loyalty into his life. You gave him stability, comfort, and joy. You stood by him when others walked away, and instead of cherishing it, he overlooked it. That mistake is his to live with. The fact that he didn't see your worth doesn't mean it wasn't there. It only means he wasn't capable of recognizing it at the time. Now that you're gone, the truth hits harder, and that's why the regret cuts so deep. It's not just about missing you, it's about knowing he had something extraordinary and let it slip through his fingers. Regret doesn't just come from loss, it comes from realization. It's the moment he finally understands that you were not replaceable. He may have thought he could find better, but every comparison leaves him disappointed. He may have thought you would always be there, but your absence has proven otherwise. That realization doesn't just sting, it haunts. Every new relationship, every empty night, every milestone without you becomes a reminder that he traded a blessing for nothing of equal value. Regret thrives in that space, and it grows heavier with time. The cruel irony is that by the time he feels the full weight of regret, it is too late. Too late to fix it, too late to go back, too late to make things right. You have already healed, already grown, already built a life where his presence is no longer needed. And he knows it. That knowledge is what breaks him, knowing that the blessing he once had is now beyond his reach forever. It's not just the loss of love, it's the loss of possibility, the finality of realizing he cannot undo what's been done. Meanwhile, your story continues differently. While he wrestles with regret, you walk with peace. While he clings to memories, you embrace new beginnings. While he feels the sting of what he lost, you stand in the strength of what you've gained. The contrast between his regret and your growth is stark, and it only makes his pain sharper. He sees you shining, thriving, glowing in ways you never did when you were with him, and it forces him to acknowledge that you were the blessing all along, not just to him, but to anyone lucky enough to have you. That truth was always there, he just realized it too late.